Welcome back on Cool Tech Channel. This one will be fun. AI Showdown Part 2. So, you've probably heard the hype. AI is everywhere, and it's changing how we do pretty much everything. From writing emails to coding a website, these AI assistants are becoming a bigger part of our daily tech lives. For a while now, one name has dominated the conversation. ChatGPT, it's the one everyone knows. Your parents have probably even heard of it. It set the standard. But in the tech world, a king doesn't stay on the throne forever. Serious challengers always emerge. One interesting contender stepping into the ring is DeepSeek. It's newer, it's ambitious, it's making some big promises. The big question is simple. Which one is actually better? It's the ultimate AI showdown. Is the established champion, ChatGPT, still the smartest and most reliable? Or has DeepSeek quietly surpassed it? We're not just talking about poems about a smartphone, we're talking real-world use. Alright, let's start with the basics. What exactly are these AI assistants? At their core, both ChatGPT and DeepSeek are what we call large language models, or LLMs. Think of them as incredibly complex computer programs that have been trained on a massive, almost unimaginable amount of text and data. From the internet, we're talking books, articles, websites, code repositories. Basically, a huge chunk of human knowledge. Their primary job is to understand what you're asking in plain language and then generate a human-like response. They aren't thinking in the way we do, but they are incredibly good at predicting the next word in a sequence to build coherent, useful answers. ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI, was the one that really brought this technology into the mainstream. When it launched, it felt like a glimpse into the future. Suddenly, anyone could have a conversation with an AI that could write essays, debug code, draft emails, or even create a meal plan. It became the benchmark for what a consumer-facing AI could be. People use it for brainstorming ideas for a project, summarizing long documents to save time, getting help with their homework, or even just as a creative partner to bounce ideas off of. It's a versatile, general-purpose tool that has found its way into countless workflows across the globe. DeepSeek is the newer player on the scene, but it comes from a company with a serious background in AI research. It's built on a similar foundation to ChatGPT, but it was designed with a particular emphasis on coding and reasoning. The team behind it trained their model from scratch with a massive dataset, aiming to create an open-source alternative that could compete with, and in some cases outperform, the closed-source giants. Users are turning to DeepSeek for writing complex code snippets, solving math problems, and following intricate, multi-step instructions with a higher degree of accuracy. So why are people so excited about them? Because they save time, a lot of time. Instead of spending an hour searching for the right function to use in your code, you can ask one of these models and get a working example in seconds. Instead of staring at a blank page trying to start an essay, you can ask for an outline and a few opening paragraphs to get you going. They act as a super-powered assistant, a creative muse, and a knowledge base all rolled into one. Whether you're a student, a programmer, a marketer, or just someone curious about the world, these tools offer a new way to interact with information and create content. There's a reason ChatGPT is still the king of the hill, and it really comes down to one thing: polish. It just works. It feels incredibly intuitive and reliable for a huge range of tasks. The user experience is clean, straightforward, and refined over several iterations. For general-purpose creativity and writing, it's often my first stop. When I'm trying to come up with different ways to phrase a video title, I use ChatGPT to brainstorm potential topics. It has a flair for language that feels natural and engaging. Another major pro, especially with GPT-4, is its massive ecosystem and integrations. It's not just a chat window anymore. Upload documents, analyze spreadsheets, create images with DALL-E 3, all inside the same conversation. That all-in-one workflow is powerful. I recently analyzed viewer data from a CSV file. I uploaded it and asked ChatGPT to identify trends and make charts. It finished in under a minute. Moving from text to data analysis to image generation, seamless, and competitors are still catching up. The consistency of its performance is also a key selling point. It might not be the absolute best at every single task, but it's consistently good at almost everything. Throw a legal question request a Python script or prompt a short story. It handles each with a high level of confidence. That reliability makes it a trustworthy default. You know what you're going to get. For daily tasks, drafting professional emails, summarizing long technical articles, ChatGPT rarely disappoints. It's the Swiss Army knife of AI. OpenAI's continuous updates and user feedback have made the model safer and more aligned. It understands nuance and context and is less likely to go off the rails. It can refuse inappropriate requests gracefully and clarify ambiguous questions to give better answers. That refinement builds trust. When I ask for help on a script, it understands tone and delivers something technically solid and contextually appropriate for my audience. Now, for as good as ChatGPT is, it's definitely not perfect. And some of its flaws can be pretty frustrating in day-to-day use. My biggest personal gripe has to be what I call its overly helpful nature. Sometimes it tries so hard to be accommodating and safe that it becomes verbose and, frankly, a bit long-winded. You'll ask for a simple, direct piece of code, and instead of just giving you the code, it will give you a 5-paragraph essay explaining the history of the programming language, a warning about potential pitfalls, a concluding paragraph on the importance of ethical coding. Sometimes you just want the answer, not the lecture that comes with it. Another issue is its tendency to be a bit lazy, especially with complex or lengthy tasks. Users across the industry, myself included, have noticed that it can sometimes stop generating mid-response or provide an incomplete answer, forcing you to type, continue, or reprompt it. This is especially true for coding tasks where it might just write a function and then add a comment like, "Rest of the logic here." That's not helpful. It breaks the workflow and feels like the AI is cutting corners. When you're in the middle of a creative or technical flow, these interruptions can be a real momentum killer. Then there's the matter of its knowledge cutoff. While OpenAI is getting better at providing real-time information through browsing, the core model is still trained on a dataset that ends at a certain point in time. This means if you're asking about very recent events, new software releases, breaking news, it can sometimes be out of the loop or provide outdated information. For a lot of general knowledge tasks, this isn't a problem, but in the fast-moving world of tech, a model that doesn't know about a major product launched last month can be a significant limitation. You always have to double-check its answers for timeliness. Finally, while its creativity is a strength, it can also feel a bit generic. Because it's trained to produce widely acceptable and popular styles of text, its creative output can sometimes lack a unique voice. It writes like a very competent but slightly boring assistant. It can produce a solid first draft, but it rarely gives you something truly surprising or edgy that pushes creative boundaries. It's the vanilla ice cream of creativity, reliable and good, but not the most exciting flavor on the menu. This makes it a great starting point, but you'll almost always need to add your own personal touch to make the output shine. Alright, let's talk about the challenger, DeepSeek. For a newer model, it's seriously impressive, especially in a few key areas. The first thing that blew me away was its coding and technical proficiency. This thing is an absolute beast for developers. I've thrown some pretty obscure coding problems at it. ChatGPT sometimes struggled with them, or gave me a convoluted answer. DeepSeek often spits out clean, efficient, and correct code on the first try. It seems to have a deeper, more nuanced understanding of programming logic and syntax across multiple languages. It's quickly become my go-to for any serious coding questions. Another area where DeepSeek really shines is its ability to follow long and complex instructions. You can give it a multi-step prompt with several constraints, and it hits every point without getting sidetracked. Example: write a 500-word blog post about the pros and cons of OLED displays. Use a casual and informative tone, target it to non-technical consumers, and include a 3-item bulleted list summarizing key takeaways at the end. Key takeaway 1, key takeaway 2, key takeaway 3. It nailed every single one of those instructions perfectly. ChatGPT can sometimes forget the last part of a complex prompt. DeepSeek seems to have a better memory in this regard. Speed is another noticeable advantage. In my testing, DeepSeek often generates responses faster than ChatGPT-4. The text just flows onto the screen at a quicker pace. That reduced latency really helps in rapid brainstorming or when you need quick answers. It feels less like waiting for a computer and more like a real-time conversation. Finally, and this is a big one for the AI community, the team behind DeepSeek made their models open source. That fosters transparency. It also allows developers and researchers to build upon their work. It's a philosophical win that encourages innovation and prevents a single company holding all the keys. My favorite feature is probably its directness. It's less chatty than ChatGPT. When you ask for code, you get code. It doesn't wrap it in layers of unnecessary explanations, which I really appreciate when I'm focused and just need the solution. Of course, being the new kid on the block means DeepSeek has some rough edges. It's not all smooth sailing, and there are some clear areas where it falls behind the more established competition. One of the most noticeable shortcomings is in its general knowledge and creative writing capabilities. While it excels at logical, technical tasks, its prose can sometimes feel a bit dry or, honestly, robotic. It doesn't have the same creative flair or natural-sounding voice that ChatGPT has honed over time. If I ask it to write a compelling story or a marketing slogan, the results are often technically correct but lack that human-like spark that makes the content engaging. The user interface, while functional, is also much more bare-bones compared to ChatGPT's polished platform. It's a simple chat window and, well, that's about it. You don't get the fancy ecosystem with integrated image generation, data analysis, or the ability to upload different file types. This means your workflow can feel more fragmented. If you need to analyze a spreadsheet and then write about the results, you can't do it all in one conversation with DeepSeek. You have to use other tools. This lack of integration makes it less of a one-stop shop and more of a specialized tool for specific tasks like coding. Another annoyance I've run into is its conversational context window. While it's great at following initial complex instructions, I've found that it can sometimes lose track of the conversation over a longer back and forth. It might forget a detail or a constraint that was mentioned several prompts ago, forcing you to remind it. ChatGPT, particularly the paid version, seems to have a more robust memory for longer, evolving conversations. This can be a bit of a hassle when you're trying to iteratively refine an idea or a piece of code with the AI. Finally, because it's a newer and less widely used model, it doesn't have the same level of refinement when it comes to safety guardrails and handling ambiguous prompts. It's not that it's unsafe, but it can sometimes misinterpret a question in a way that a more mature model like ChatGPT wouldn't. It can occasionally produce slightly odd or off-topic responses if your prompt isn't perfectly clear. It feels like it has less experience with the weird and wonderful ways humans ask for things, which is something that only gets better with time and massive amounts of user interaction. It's a growing pain that I expect will improve, but it's a noticeable difference for now. So, let's put them side by side and score them in a few key categories. First up, speed. DeepSeek takes a clear win. The tokens just appear on the screen faster. It feels more responsive, more immediate. Fast questions or a code snippet, DeepSeek answers with less waiting. Next, accuracy. This is nuanced, it depends on the task. Coding, DeepSeek wins. Mathematics, DeepSeek wins. Logical reasoning, DeepSeek wins. General knowledge, ChatGPT is more reliable. Real-world context and nuanced language, ChatGPT wins. Split decision, DeepSeek for technical, ChatGPT for general. Then, creativity, easy win for ChatGPT. Better creative writer, more natural voice. Poem, script outline, marketing email. DeepSeek can feel lifeless and formulaic. For artistry and voice, ChatGPT is the champion. Finally, user interface and overall experience. ChatGPT wins, not even close. Switch between models, DALL-E integration, data analysis tools, clean chat history sidebar. DeepSeek is minimalist and functional. For usability and features, ChatGPT is miles ahead. So after all that testing, which AI do I find myself opening up every day? The honest answer is, I use both. But I use them for very different things. For about 80% of my daily AI tasks, I still turn to ChatGPT. The reason is simple, it's the ultimate generalist. ChatGPT is my daily driver, my go-to for almost everything. It's the reliable, versatile sedan that gets me where I need to go comfortably and consistently. DeepSeek, on the other hand, is the high-performance sports car I take out of the garage for specific jobs where I need pure power and precision. I wouldn't want to use it for my daily commute, but when I need what it does best, nothing else compares. Choose based on your needs and workflow. The smart user uses the right tool for the task at hand.